I'm Lee, and this is Cass, and this is Cass Lee Productions. Okay, so today I'm finally gonna do that ADHD video I kept on saying I was going to do. Not that if I remember, I actually remembered I mentioned it in previous ones. But this is probably gonna be the last one I filmed today. Not that it matters because these are being released out of order, which is strange to think about. Honestly, kind of hurts my brain. Still don't know if I'm even going to release these in order to some degree. Like, I guess I'm going to try, but some of these I really need to redo because I have a lot of filler words, or I get really off track and re-say stuff. Like, you can make a drinking game of what I say out of what I say sometimes, and so I'm going to have to definitely redo that. I'm going to just redo the ones that are super bad. um Again, not what we're here for. You're not here to hear me debate my life decisions. Okay, so I was going to do my ADHD. Right. ADHD-ness. Okay, so first, this is probably going to be more than one video just because there's a lot to talk about, and I'm obviously going to get off track like I usually do. You're welcome if you like that. Otherwise, I'm sorry I'm that ADHD teacher. I mean, I'm pretty sure you all have a teacher that you can get off track pretty easily. I'm pretty sure they're probably ADHD. May not be, but the likelihood is sort of high. So ADHD. How to explain? That is always the hard part. Okay, so ADHD, let's first start with what ADHD stands for those of you who don't know. It's attention, hyperactive, deficit disorder. Yay, long words. Technically, ADHD, I think they've been trying to decide if it still technically exists or if it's really just ADD. I think they got rid of the sub-classification of ADHD, though the two really only have one difference from each other, and I think that's why, but don't ask me. I didn't keep up on that, honestly. I didn't do intensive study onto ADHD until I was high school, even though I knew that I had ADHD in middle school, because I was like, oh, I have ADHD, let's write a paper about that. So that's why I ended up doing more research into what I have, which you should probably always do once you figure out you've got diagnosed with anything, really. So, you just know. Like the medicines and stuff, even, you should probably look into so you can consult your doctor better and everything. Not the point of this video, but kind of is, so not completely off topic. Okay, so ADHD, I should explain why it's sort of a disorder, I guess, now, right? I really wish I could just read my essay paper to you, but that is too long, and honestly, when I read, I don't do as good a job as doing all these fancy, goofy hand motions and facial expressions that I know you probably enjoy, or at least laugh at when the screen freezes or pauses. I guess we all do that, let's be honest. Okay, my feet are cold. I'm not wearing socks. ADHD. In our brains, you know how we have nerves? Yes. You know how we have nerves that control our movement and what we do. Well, nerves are always firing off in our brain, lighting up certain things as we complete tasks. Like even simply moving my hand is lighting up my left side of my brain, because the brain, I'm not going. Yes. So the thing is with ADHD people, how people might have the brain is truly never at rest, honestly, because there is so many things happening within inside your body that nerves are almost always continuously being sent out. But unlike a normal person's brain or a normal person's nerves, you see, this is where it's kind of debated on which side this disability leans on. But we have a rapid fire all constantly of our nerves within our brain, which leads to us being, which we're practically always on alert mode or technical survival mode. I mean, we don't have adrenaline like running through us 24/7, but we're more aware of the little things that are happening around the room. Like, I'm going to notice when a kid goes up to sharpen his pencil. I'm going to notice when someone turns the paper for their test. I'm going to notice when the teacher starts walking around the room. I'm going to notice when a pencil falls on the floor. I'm going to hear it. It's harder for people with ADHD to turn this background noises and these movements and to practically just ignore them. It's harder for us to do because, as my one doctor always put it, or maybe it was a release of a book. It was a release of a book that my doctor had read. Don't ask me for the name. I have no idea. I just know he referenced it a lot. I think that'd make me remember. I don't. So the gatherers are the people who aren't ADD or ADHD. Practically, they're the ones who work better in a classroom setting than we do because we were meant to be the hunters, which means we were always alert and looking for prey or danger situations. So people with ADHD also tend to have, not all the time, but sometimes have quicker reflexes than other people. And I don't know what it's like for other people in uh, dangerous situations or adrenaline rushes, so I can't really speak for a normal person when it comes to how their brain works. So I guess a normal brain works. So I can't tell you what's normal, what's not normal. That I can only tell you things I've noticed from me interacting with other people, like my friends. Though good majority of my friends are ADD and ADHD too. So honestly, good majority of the world it has mental disabilities or abnormal behavior or whatever you want to call it anyway. So I honestly don't think there's a lot of normal brains anywhere, and I think normal brains are technically abnormal, but whatever. Science. I'm a science person, just so you know. If you have not noticed yet. So that's what we're more geared for. Now, because our neurons are always since it's always constantly firing, it makes us hard to more or less sit or be still, and everything is going to attract our attention. But also because everything is attracting our attention, we tend to notice other things that other people may regularly notice, you know? So there's like a good and bad that comes kind of with it. And the way this relates to the whole entire forgetfulness I mentioned in my other video is that what happens is we'll be thinking something, right? And when we learned in psychology is that saying something over and over again is temporary memory. And ours gets broken a lot, so it's always harder for us to pick up on trains of thought from where we last were. So whenever someone moves, we'll look at them, and then our train of thought is broken, and then we can't remember what we were thinking about or what we might have been doing at that moment or what we were supposed to be doing. And that's why ADHD people tend to seem more forgetful than other normal people because they can maintain that temporary memory, while an ADHD person has a harder time maintaining that memory. That's why we also tend to lose more things because we set it down somewhere and then something else gains our attention and we have to go or we have to do something else and then we forget where we placed the thing down because we're just we have we have one goal in mind and we're going to go and we're going to do it. Otherwise, we're going to forget what we're doing. And that's basically, at least I know that's how I am like. I know that's how my mom sort of operates. And I know it's kind of a similar experience for ADHD people. So that's kind of what ADHD is, I guess you can say. I mean, there is like other side effects of obviously being ADHD that I could touch on. Let's see what I made my list of. Oh, yeah, I already went over my ability to notice things. Let's see. I already went over what it practically is. I also noticed that ADHD people will tend to also have behavioral issues because we are so hyperactive and it's hard for us to slow down because everything is moving too quickly. As my grandma keeps on reminding me, when I was put on my medicine, I noticed for the first time that clouds moved and my mind was like blown. Like I had no idea clouds moved through the sky. Now I'd watched clouds before, like passing, like in the car and stuff. I'd laid on the grass, but I never noticed the clouds moved through the sky, and it was just mind blowing for me. You know, so it's like that's like a thing. You know, that's something a normal person would notice, and it would seem normal that clouds move. But for me, I had never experienced clouds moving before because it wasn't something I paid great attention to because I was always distracted by something else going on. So pretty much ADHD and ADD people are just people who are super distracted by everything that's going on in the classroom. Would be, I guess, the best way to do this. You can look up, if you got more interested in what I'm talking about, you can look up more things obviously on your own and do your own research. Or if you want to hear me talk more about this, I would be happy to. I like educating people to some degree when I know I think I have a good idea. Though I honestly don't know with this ADHD stuff sometimes myself. But it is definitely an interesting thing to look into either way. So the other thing I was going to talk about, I'm going to push it on this video just because it's already kind of a boring topic, and I doubt any of you actually clicked on this. I could be wrong, but I doubt, serious doubt, that people are interested in. Okay, I know that. How do I say this? Usually, you'd come here for laughs, not for learning. Let's go with that. So, the other thing with ADHD is because I was ADHD, I myself actually had a lot of trouble with spelling, reading, writing, and math. But the thing was, I never really hated writing or reading. I think I did get frustrated with the subject, but okay, when it came to math, you know how you're like, I love math at like with all of my being. I never came to that with writing. I was like, it would make me frustrated, and I would throw the book across the room and throw a tantrum. Don't get me wrong on that, but I always enjoyed reading. And I know people, when you find something difficult, you generally tend to dislike that subject or doing that thing. But I loved reading. I think it was maybe because all my family read or what, but I always loved reading books. And I think I enjoyed writing because I started to realize that the games me and my friends were playing, you know, how there are more role playing stuff, technically more than anything, if you watch that video. Um, it was just a really good outlet for all that imagination I had as a kid, and I realized that I could make my own story with that, and that was awesome. Though I didn't really get interested in writing until maybe a bit further down the road. I always liked drawing pictures and stuff like that and making stories, and all that was all really always enjoyable to me, even though I couldn't spell for the life of me or space my words far apart. They were always so close together, they'd run together on the page that you couldn't tell when one word started and one began. And I'd like randomly capitalize letters and forget punctuation constantly. Like my writing was an absolute mess, and it looked like complete gibberish on the page, especially considering when you're 6, you don't really even know how to spell anyway. So my teachers had no clue what I was trying to write or say. I remember there used to be a teacher would come by next to me, ask me what I wrote, and then right above what I wrote, what was supposed to be written down, which I know they did for like some other kids as well. But I noticed that it happened a lot for me. And so I just thought that was always a strange thing about myself, was that I had struggled with those subjects and yet I never really hated them. Now I did hate spelling. Spelling would always make me frustrated. I didn't like learning new words. I mean, my mom found a way to make it fun eventually. And I don't know if you're maybe a parent with a kid who has ADHD and you're watching this. I can give you some great suggestions for how to deal with ADHD. And if anyone's interested in that, like comment down below and I'll make another video of how I have coped with my ADHDness and uh, the ways that my mom and my school kind of helped me, you know, deal with ADHD, because medicine I don't think should be the first um exactly, because the medicine can have dangerous side effects, but one that is not directly listed as death. But we put they tend to put ADHD people on stimulants because it helps the brain crest up with the rest of the brain that's going woo all the time, you know, with like strobe lights up in there. So where was I going with this again? Oh yeah, and there's also ones that are not stimulants, but those side effects are usually depression, and we all know depression is a hard thing to handle, and that some people don't handle it as well as others because life is hard and it gets you down and all of that. So, you know, depression isn't really a good side effect. I know I actually was on a medicine for a while and I had gigantic mood swings because the doctor prescribed me like this patch for the ADHD, and it just did not work for me. I I was all over the place emotional wise. It was not good. We even tried like cutting the patch in half and it still was not good. So the first step I always think should be probably talking. I mean, the medicine definitely helps you find tools to deal with ADHD better for when you're off it, because I actually don't like being on my medicine, but I have to in order to function for school, which is frustrating, which means I'm gonna have to take it when I finally get a job in life, like professional job in life, unless I choose one that's specific and it doesn't matter with my ADHD. But again, almost everything in science means you need to pay attention to the small clues. So, depression. But this video is going a minute longer than I think I'm gonna want it to be. But you should definitely try to a few avenues rest, and if you do have to end up putting your kid on the medicine, it's not the end of the world as long as you keep on contact with your doctor. Freudian slip. And as long as that if you're on a stimulant, I suggest you make sure you're drinking lots of water, because not being hydrated will put more of a strain on your heart along with the medicine you're on. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so I guess that's all I want to say on ADHD for now. So let me know what you guys all think, and if you want me to talk more about, stuff, I guess, like this, because I also wanted to put out maybe a few on anatomy and physiology, because I'm really struggling with that class, and I found some nice tricks to do it. Now, I'm not going to do everything that my notes went over, mostly because I would end up just reading from some of them, because I couldn't come up with a trick for every single little thing in the thing. Though I did try. It was not from a lack of trying, I assure you. But I would like, if you're having maybe trouble with that subject or stuff or something, let me know, and I'll put out a video. You can tell me if I'm a helpful person or not, and maybe I'll keep doing that, and maybe there'll be like one section reserved for stuff to help other people study and stuff, and one reserved for funniness and storytelling of things I think interesting and all that jazz that I mentioned before. So like and subscribe, comment. I always forget that one. I always do. It's the magic of me taking the glory. It's beautiful. So I hope you all will continue to watch my videos, and that you all enjoyed this one and at least found it intriguing at the least. And I'm sorry it went too long, because I understand this can be a boring subject for some people. So I'm going to end it now before we hit 18 minutes. Bye.